Good evening and welcome to everybody to this evening where we're going to gather for the first time as a four-state community to learn about ways that we can promote life in our own neighborhood. A few weeks ago when there was an announcement that Planned Parenthood was coming to this small town of Pittsburgh, it filled me with such sadness that I wanted to shed some tears that day, but the sadness was so great, the tears was even beyond tears. I'm sure that's why you're here tonight. And so from that moment, after that, I realized that somebody needed to step out just a little bit to gather all of the people in the four-state area that wanted to be able to impact life, and all of the people that recognize that life begins at conception and ends in natural death. Later that week, it's probably a part of the evil one's design, I had emergency gallbladder surgery. But not before I was able to then later, on that Friday after my first day of recovery, begin to formulate some thoughts for the weekend that I had some of our young priest associates who work alongside me here at Our Lady of Lourdes deliver. And so I thought that we would all bow our head tonight and begin with a prayer. There's only a few words to describe how we as Christians can respond to this in our own community, and that is we will respond in love with truth. In love with truth. When we find women and men in crisis pregnancies, we will respond in love. When they need healing, we will respond in love. When our neighbors and friends speak to us, post messages, or do something in disagreement with our pro-life principles, we will not engage. We will respond in love, letting them know that God loves them and that we love them. And when Planned Parenthood opens and when procedures cause physical harm, we will support our workers at our Catholic hospital, who will then be personally confronted with this travesty. We will respond to them in love, listening to them and praying with them. When we begin to know the workers of the clinic, we will pray for them and love them to God. If we have some from among our own flock who disagree with our own beliefs and teaching, we will continue to respond in love. When we find ourselves sad and angry, we will ask God for the strength to love as He loves, leaving all the rest for Him to judge. What has come to our beloved community in darkness and through deception will one day leave because we responded in love with truth. We offer all of these things to our Heavenly Father through His only Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. So tonight as you came in, you all received a card. You can fill that card out, and what we're going to do with the information, and the only thing we're going to do is gather it so that we can begin to know who stands for life in our communities. At the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask some of the pastors and priests who are here to come down to gather. And on your cards, please, if you are going to fill them out, mark that you're a pastor so that we can make sure to stay in touch with your congregation. And what I hope the result of tonight is that we build a broad-based coalition that stands for life in the whole four-state area, but based in this small community of Pittsburgh. This afternoon, when I had some free time, I started to do some research on the population that our little clinic in this town of 20,000 might serve. The population is 1 million people. It's much larger than our community, and so we're going to need the support and help of everybody in this four-state region, of everybody who believes that life begins with conception. Tonight, we have a few speakers here with us. The Catholic Diocese of Wichita has a director dedicated to promoting life and social justice. Her name is Bonnie Toombs. She's going to be first up. We also have a coordinator who helps to promote healing, from post-abortive healing in communities throughout our 25-county area. Stephanie Nemechek, she's also here to come to. Francis Olvile from the local bee clinic in Pittsburgh is here to speak tonight as well. And then our legislative liaison for the Catholic bishops, Chuck Weber, will speak tonight. I'll conclude with a prayer, and then during that time, please pray about your cards. If there's some ministries that you have interest in or think that God has given you to give to Sharon, please mark those on the side of your card. Use the QR code to go online, and you can fill out the card in the same way, and then the true work will begin.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, this is so impressive. Thank you all for coming out in support of life. And thank you, Father, for putting this together, for organizing this, and getting this coalition started. We all know that when we think about life in the womb is just as important as that child who is born. All life matters, from the moment of conception to natural death. I'd like to echo Father's words a little bit in that it is that we will love them. We have been loving them, but now we have to really double down. Tonight on your card that you're looking at, it talks about radical solidarity. And that's, from this point forward, that's what we're hoping to build. A community, multiple communities that are radically supporting women who are in unexpected and sometimes crisis pregnancies. We know that we cannot save a child if we do not meet the needs of the mother. And so that's why we're here. All of you, I hope all of you are on that same page. What I'd like to do tonight is I'm going to walk you through some things that we do that have been successful. I'm going to give you some ideas, but this is your community. Stephanie and I, the Diocese of Wichita, we are here to help. We'll be here as much as you want us. But you know your people. You know your communities. And so some of these decisions will need to be made by you. I'd just like to start with a reminder of the Gospel of John. Shortly before he is to suffer the Passion, Jesus proclaimed to his disciples, "I give you a new commandment, to love one another as I have loved you." And that's what radical solidarity is all about. Solidarity means that we put the needs of others before ourselves. So when we see someone who is wounded, what is our natural reaction? We want to help, right? Okay? So that's solidarity. When we see someone who is sitting on the street, maybe hasn't had anything to eat, we can choose to give them a McDonald's gift card or a few dollars, or we can take them in and sit down and share a meal with them. That's solidarity. It's putting the needs of others before ourselves. And particularly tonight, we're talking about the needs of women in unexpected pregnancies. And so we're going to focus on that, even though solidarity and radical solidarity can mean more than that. This is our focus. At this point, the community of Pittsburgh and the surrounding communities and even the surrounding states, you have opportunities. You have challenges, but you have opportunities to make such a difference in people's lives. Some of that is already going on. When I was researching into what is already available here, the support that is already in this community, particularly Pittsburgh, there's a lot already going on here. So tonight, when I talk about the 4 pillars that we use, it's about building that net and making it stronger, because you guys already have part of that net built. You're already supporting women who are in unexpected pregnancies in many different ways. There's some real heroes in this room. So thank you very much for those of you who go out of your way to help women in unexpected or crisis pregnancies. That work is so critical because we know in the Catholic tradition that our humanity, our worth, our dignity comes from being made in the image and likeness of God. And I imagine many other traditions have that as well. But when we're working with individuals who are in a crisis moment, we have to help them remember that. Sometimes we have to help them see that God still loves them, because the people around them might be telling them, you've done something wrong. You can't be successful if you carry this child to term. You're not going to be able to finish college. You're not going to be able to have a career. You're not going to be able to do the things you've always dreamed about. But what we know is that that just is not true. That if we can provide the support that they need, they can carry that child to term, they can parent it if they want, they can place it for adoption, they can love that child, and they won't have the woundedness of having experienced an abortion. So again, I just want to reiterate that there's so many good things going on here, but when it comes to radical solidarity, I want to place a little question in your mind. And then for the next month, for the next 30 days, just 30 days, that's all I'm asking. I want you to ask yourself every day, what have I done today out of the norm, out of my ordinary, out of my comfort zone to help someone who is experiencing an unexpected pregnancy? What have I done? If you don't know any women who are in that circumstance, what have I done to promote life and life issues in my neighborhood, in my family, in my community, on my social media? What am I doing every day to promote life? Because that is radical solidarity. That is all of us in this room and thousands of others working together to make sure that women who are in a crisis and can't see any other choice because they've been told that abortion is good for women, it helps them be successful, it brings them joy. We know that that's not true. And we know that because we work with so many women who have, and men who have experienced abortion. And they tell a different story. So radical solidarity also means we have to address the lies. Now, a lot of us, maybe not good debaters, don't want to get in that conversation with someone who has a different view, but I'm asking you to get out of your comfort zone, to learn how to respond when you meet somebody, to learn how to say life matters at all stages, including the preborn. And we're here to fight for them. And we're also here to fight for the mother to have the right, to have the child that God entrusted her to. So when I talked earlier, I talked about 4 pillars, and these are the areas that we have seen that really can help focus when we're talking about pro-life. The very first one I'm going to talk about is education and awareness. So how many of you know all of the resources that are available within your own community in regards to protection of life? Okay, that's lesson number 1. Thank you. We do have someone who does. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's lesson 1. We have got to make ourselves familiar with what's available. If we have a woman come into our church and she is in a crisis, what do? How do we react? Where do we send her? What resources are available for her? Guys, we should be able to clip those off for whatever community you're in. We want everyone engaged in that. We want to know who can help. It's not always us. It's not always that we have all the things that they need. But don't we want to know where to send them? Don't we want to know who can help them? Don't we want to know how to support them when they are feeling so lost and alone? I think we do. So, again, thank you for being here. So under education and awareness, what I just talked about, let's change our culture. Even in the pro-life movement, and I've been doing this a number of years, we're still learning, we're still growing, we're still changing. The one thing that hasn't changed is we're still fighting for life. We're still fighting for women to have the ability to have a child if she so chooses, and to have the resources that she needs in order to do that. So we're going to change your culture. You don't have to do great big things. Do little things. Talk to the members of your family. Let them know. Most of your family probably already knows how you feel about life and how supportive you are of life and how you're passionate about it. Because there's a lot of passion in this room, right? Yes. Come on, there's some passion in here. Yeah? Okay, let your neighbors know that. When you're out trimming flowers or working in your garden, I'm a new gardener, by the way, talk to your neighbors. Do they know how you feel? Do they understand why you feel that way? And do you know how to explain to people why respect for life at all ages and stages is so important to you? So we are constantly learning. We are constantly changing. We're constantly trying to make sure that we're keeping up with things that are happening. But if we don't tell anybody, then we can't help anybody. Extra blessings to Father Simone for the homily that he wrote that was read here at Our Lady of Lourdes, because I bet it woke a few people up. I bet that there are people who said, wow, we're going to talk about this in church. We're going to hear about abortion in church. Yes, we are. Because we need to be talking about it, and we need to be telling the truth. Not ignoring the lies. So the 2 biggest lies you're going to deal with are abortion is good for women, and it's not a baby. just a clump of cells. And science, I don't know how they still get away with that one, quite honestly, because science has proved over and over again that that's not true. And yet, it still persists. If you want to know what the young people in your community know about protecting life in the womb, sit down and have a conversation with them. Listen to what they're hearing. Because if you're not what they're hearing, your ideals, your values, your respect for life, they're not going to carry them on, because the culture right now is saying, no, it's okay. All women can have an abortion and you just go on with your life, and there is no pain, it doesn't affect you. That's a lie, and we know it. So we need to make sure that we are spreading the truth and changing the culture. And if that is just in your family, that's what you're comfortable with, woohoo! I'm glad that you're doing that much. If you're comfortable doing that in your community, even better. If you want to go beyond your community and you want to go to these other states and say, hey, we're fighting for life in Pittsburgh, Kansas, could we help you? Even the better. Because we then can spread a culture of life, which is based in truth, not on lies or money. Another thing that can be very, very helpful, more than helpful, is something called Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And Sidewalk Advocates for Life is a training. It's a day-long training from 9:30 in the morning to about 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon, where you learn how to talk to women who are in unexpected pregnancies or crisis situations. You learn how to deal with that. You learn about being out on the sidewalk. In a few short months, here in Pittsburgh, the clinic will be opened. For the next few months, we're really going to be asking you to get out of your comfort zone and get trained. Even if you never plan on being out on the sidewalk, that training will help you when you have somebody in crisis come to you. It will help you when you're talking to your family so that you will know how to answer their questions, and it will help you protect life, and even more than that, it will help you save a woman from making a decision that can haunt her for the rest of her life. We will be offering, I'm going to do a little commercial here, okay? And we will be offering a Sidewalk Advocates for Life here in Pittsburgh on June 12th. And it starts at 9:30 in the morning. I'm looking at Stephanie because she's going to be the trainer this time. And it'll last till about 4 in the afternoon. We have about 40 spots available, and I think we've only filled maybe 10. But we'll be back every month if you have people here that want to be trained. There is a flyer out on that table out front, so if you want more information, take one of those. I highly recommend it. I went recently to a Knights of Columbus group at one of our churches, which is a men's group, and I just told them, guys, you're dealing with daughters, sons, friends of your children who are experiencing unexpected pregnancies. How are you helping them? How are you able to have a conversation with them? And the majority of them said, well, we let our wife do that. Okay? We want men to know how to do this as well, because it's so powerful for a young girl to hear that from her dad. So, again, I would encourage it. I told Father Simone earlier that I believe and I pray that the city of Pittsburgh can close down their Planned Parenthood in 6 months or less. praying on the sidewalk. If you're not comfortable interacting with someone, you can be a prayer partner. You can be there just to pray. You can be there to share your smile. You can be there as silent support. But we know throughout the United States, a number of clinics have been closed due to such great advocacy from people who just are like you. They just care, and they wanted to do something, and they took an hour or two on the sidewalk each week. So I highly encourage you to pray about that, think about that, and tell all of your friends who aren't here about that. Because I would love to see in the newspaper in less than 6 months, Planned Parenthood in Pittsburgh closed. So let's work on that. We can do it. We have God on our side. We know we can do it. It's just about getting the people to be passionate, those who are passionate, to get them enacted. There'll be a question and answer period at the end, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring you. Anyway, education and awareness. Again, one thing that can be really powerful to bring to a group, if you have men and women who would like to share their story about when they had an abortion. If they're at a place in their healing that they could do that, that's another way to just see how far they can come when they've started and they're continuing to work on that healing process. It's important to listen to their voices. We want them to have a voice in this say. And if you, Stephanie can quote the chapter from Gospel of Life on where Pope John Paul says, we need to listen to these people because they're speaking the truth from experience. And so, if you're someone who is post-aborting and you're at a place where you could share and you're okay with that, another opportunity. Next, the second pillar then is prayer and worship. I talked a little bit about it as far as we need to hear about this in our worship houses. We need to know, hanging on the back door or the table in the community room. We need to have resources there so that people who are coming to church who don't want to tell anybody that they know somebody who might be experiencing an unexpected pregnancy, they don't want to tell anybody, but they'd be willing to pick up resources. Okay, I'm going to go faster, Father. Okay, but it's important. We need to keep this in prayer. We need to make sure that we're praying for all those women right now who are experiencing an unexpected pregnancy. We need to pray for the fathers. We need to pray for the abortionists, that they'll have a conversion of heart. We need to pray for the people who are working in the clinic, that there's a place for them to go if they choose to leave. So, prayer. Please be steeped in prayer. That's how we will move forward. Pastoral care for women. I've also talked a little bit about this. This is basically the net I was talking about. We need to make sure that we know the resources that are available. When we do a community checklist, we look at what's missing. What do we have in our community already, so we don't have to create it, but what's missing? And once we do that, where can we help? Where can we get that started? Who wants to be involved with that? Who wants to figure those things out as part of the coalition that Father wants to put together? The one thing I want to mention, and I know we're going to have somebody, Francis from B is going to talk, but one thing we can do is support our pregnancy resource centers. If we're not doing it now as volunteers or a little bit of monetary, we need to pray for them every day. They're on the front line. They're visiting with women every day that are making these tough decisions, and they need to know that we support them. This is in all kinds of, around, V is not the only one, I think it might be the only one in Pittsburgh, but, the smaller towns, a lot of them also have them. So find out, what does your resource center provide? And how can you help them? That is a key piece of pastoral care. And the last thing I'll say on pastoral care is love them. Somebody comes to you and they're in a crisis, or they are in an unexpected pregnancy. Even if you don't know what to do, reach out, help them, let them know you love them no matter what. And remember, we love both of them. We cannot save a child in the womb if we do not help meet the needs of the mother. Last and least of my 4 pillars, which I'm not going to hardly talk about, is public policy. Still important for us to be in that arena, very important when it comes to the laws and the things that we can do to help our local state understand how passionate we are about supporting life. And a little bit later, Chuck Weber is going to talk about that, so I do not have to expand on that too much. Last but not least, if you have a pencil and you are part of an organization, I am going to ask you to write this down. AmericanProLifeMovement.com. AmericanProLifeMovement.com. Right now, this is a collaboration of more than 50 pro-life organizations that have created, at this point, 11 videos, short videos, teaching videos, changing the culture videos. You go to their website, you can download them free, and you can put the name of your church on it, the name of your organization on it. They're customizable. Please take advantage of that, because if we use the language that helps support life, we're so much further along. So thank you so much. You've been very kind. Again, we are here to help in any way you would like. Thank you for your time. I'm going to invite Francis to come down and share about the V Clinic, which again, these are your heroes, the people who are ready to share. Let's give them a big hand. These are your heroes.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come and just introduce the clinic. My name is Frances Goldweiler, and I've been the executive director there for 4 years now. V has been a part of this community and engaging with women who are in crisis pregnancy for 20 years now. This year is our 20th anniversary, and we are very proud of that milestone. The services that we offer are pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, STD testing, as well as parenting education for those who have chosen life for their child. We offer all of those free of cost. We are able to do that because we are 100% donor funded. So individuals, businesses, and churches pay for those services so that we can offer them free to her. The number one reason for abortion that we hear here in Crawford County is that they don't think that they can keep their child due to financial struggles. So by removing that hurdle, we hope that it gives us a touch point where we are able to talk to her and meet that physical need of pregnancy services, but then also meet her emotional need as well as her spiritual need by sharing the gospel with her while she's with us.
Thank you. I can't echo Francis enough as to say our pregnancy resource centers are so incredibly important. So please stand behind them, support them, share about them. A lot of people don't even know the pregnancy resource centers exist. So thank you for all that you do. I am Stephanie Nemechek. Chick. I'm the Project Rachel coordinator for the diocese. Project Rachel is a healing ministry for women and men that have been impacted by abortion. Whenever we talk about abortion, it's really important that we talk about healing as well. 1 in 4 women in the United States have had abortion, and similar numbers for men. So that means that we have people in our community suffering in silence, just carrying the burden of wounds from their past. So some of the impact of abortion include anxiety, depression, a sense of worthlessness, deep spiritual wounds, a lot of relationship issues. And so often the wound of the abortion gets stuffed away, and things like news of an abortion facility coming to the community can be a huge trigger to that. So we want to talk a little bit about healing and just help everyone know that healing is available. All of the dioceses, the Wichita Diocese and all the dioceses around, the Archdiocese, Springfield, Missouri, Tulsa, and Little Rock, have Project Rachel Ministries or Rachel's Vineyard. People from all faiths or no faith are invited to participate in the healing opportunities. I understand there's some local healing professionals as well. If you want to reach out to V, they can direct you to some of the local individuals that provide healing. But healing can really help to bring hope and peace to people who have been wounded by abortion in the past. So there's many levels to healing: forgiveness from God, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others that have been involved in the abortion decision, grief of the child lost to abortion. Our culture doesn't allow for grieving a child lost to abortion, but that's huge. That's a child that was in her womb, in a woman's womb. So we have to allow the space for grieving of that child that was lost. The Rachel's Vineyard retreat is phenomenal for giving a safe place, for allowing that grieving process to take place. There's a number of spiritual exercises and a naming exercise, and then the weekend ends with a memorial service as well to honor the children lost to abortion. So many levels of healing that can take place that allow a woman or a man to experience a life much more fully alive after going through healing. So we just want you to know that healing is available. Another thing that I often hear from people when they're thinking about getting involved in pro-life activities is not feeling worthy, or a feeling of being a hypocrite if they knew someone or were involved in abortion in the past. And those words are not coming from God. Those words of criticism are not God's words coming to you, I assure you. Bonnie mentioned St. John Paul II's Gospel of Life. It's paragraph number 99 if you want to look at it. But he writes a beautiful message to women who have had abortions. And I just want to read to you one small piece of it that speaks to that. He says, as a result of your own painful experience, you can be among the most eloquent defenders of everyone's right to life. And that's so very true. Each one of you here can be an eloquent defender of everyone's right to life. So I thank you for being here tonight. I thank you for taking the time and having the enthusiasm to be here tonight and really recognize the needs in your community. And please know, if you or anyone else is in need of healing, there's healing available. So reach out to V or to me or to your priest or your pastor. Your church is the best way to start in the healing journey, absolutely. And now we'll hear from Chuck Weber.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Chuck Weber. I'm the executive director of what we call the Kansas Catholic Conference. I'm the political guy for the Catholic Church. I work very, very closely with Kansans for Life, and also with Kansas Family Voice, that's an evangelical advocacy group in Topeka. So we're at the state capitol. We're in that messy place of politics. I like to say that trying to do the Lord's work on the devil's playground. So just real briefly, this might be a little out of order, but I know that I wondered this myself sometimes. How did we get here? How did we get to Planned Parenthood setting up a shop in Pittsburgh, Kansas? So just a real quick background on how we got to where we are today. The Kansas legislature, through the last 25 years or so, has grown increasingly more pro-life. And in 2015, they passed a law that was going to stop life dismemberment abortions in Kansas. The legislature, the bipartisan, Democrats and Republicans, said that this was a procedure that was so heinous that we're going to stop this. And so the legislature passed it, and Sam Brownback signed it into law, and immediately the abortion industry challenged it and said that abortion is a constitutional right in Kansas. And we were wondering, where did they find that? Well, it's in the preamble of the Kansas Constitution, which is very much like the U.S. Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So the Kansas State Supreme Court said that we have a fundamental right to abortion in Kansas. That ruling came out in 2019, April 26, 2019. Since that time, the number of abortions in Kansas have tripled, and it's going up, up, and up. So we have abortion is enshrined in our state constitution as a right. If you're from Arkansas, or Missouri, or Oklahoma, it's coming your way too. It's going to probably be a ballot initiative. If you can hold it off, great. But this is what the abortion industry is trying to do. That's their MO, is get this entrenched in your state constitutions that abortion is a constitutional right. So that happened again in 2019. Since that time, there's been a deadly domino effect of what's happened since that time. Basic clinic licensing laws have been tied up in the courts. They're no longer in effect right now. So just basic licensing and inspections of abortion clinics in Kansas are no longer being enforced. Working off my notes here, I've given this talk a number of times. Telemedicine protections are no longer being enforced. So particularly in rural areas, telemedicine is very important. You probably know this, but the abortion pill protocol is the #1 method of abortion now in the United States. In Kansas, it's about 65% or so. So it's a 2-part protocol where the first pill basically starves the child, and the second pill expels the child from the womb. So telemedicine protections are no longer in place, and the doctor can basically, what I call abortion by Zoom call. They can give that girl or that woman that abortion pill, and over the phone or over a Zoom call. They don't have to be in person to find out where the child is at developmentally. Is there an ectopic pregnancy in place there? That sort of thing. So in 2023, the legislature actually tried to say, okay, look, after the girl or the woman takes the first pill, there's always a lot of regret there. So we want to have a law in place where the abortionist has to tell the girl or the woman that you've taken the abortion pill. There is a way that you can reverse that. It's a progesterone pill. And so we passed that law in the legislature, and immediately that was challenged by the abortion industry. And a Johnson County judge earlier this year said, no, that's not constitutional. And not only that, I'm going to take apart what's called the Women's Right to Know law, which was passed in 1997. So this has been in effect for well over 20 years, 25 years. 24-hour waiting period, access to medical information, prenatal development information. These were all sort of things that the abortionists had to do. Abortion procedure risks and alternatives. Those are no longer happening now in Kansas. It's abortion by assembly line, basically. So anyway, getting back to the constitutional question, we had the Value in Both Amendment that said that we wanted to overturn what the judges said. And You all know it was about 2 years ago, we lost that. And so all of these laws now are tumbling like dominoes in a row. It's very, it's a despair point, and that's why Planned Parenthood is here today. So what we said, those of us fighting the abortion industry, is we will not abandon the moms and the babies to the abortion industry. We're not going to abandon them. And so I really appreciate what's going on tonight. Thank you, Father, for gathering us today. Quick word about what we did just this last legislative session. So you know we have a very antagonistic governor here in Kansas to life. But the legislature passed a law, pro-life tax package, that provides a 70% tax credit for donations to pregnancy resource centers and maternity homes like V. So what this means is, if you have a $1,000 bill that you owe the state of Kansas on your income tax, give that $1,000 to V. You're going to get $700 of that off your bill. So you're only going to owe the state $300. So it's a big thing. It's a big tax credit. That money is not going to the state. It's going to go to V or a qualified pregnancy resource center. That's probably the most substantial piece of legislation that we're able to get passed this last session. Also, pregnancy resource centers and maternity homes as of July 1st, the qualified ones will no longer have to pay sales taxes on diapers and formulas and car seats and strollers that they buy. It's not a lot of money, but PRC said we want this. It does take money out of our pockets, and so we got that passed. We also created an adoption-friendly, a tax-friendly adoption savings account provision, and also a tax-friendly adoption credit provision. So these are for people who want to adopt children. They can save money. It's a very expensive process. All those four things that I just told you about, those were vetoed by the governor, and we were able to override the governor on a veto. So that was a good news. Took a lot of work, a lot of spiritual warfare in that building. The other thing that we passed, it's a bill called HB 2436, the abortion coercion bill. So our friends at the PRCs and V, you can tell me if I'm right or not, but I think I am, but women are being coerced into having an abortion. There was a study done by the Charlotte Lozier Institute that said 70% of women, this was a peer-reviewed study by the way, 70% of women who were getting an abortion did not want to have it, that was contrary to their moral values, to what they really wanted to have happen, but they were being coerced, they were being pushed by their mother, by a doctor, by a boyfriend, by a human smuggler, a pimp. And so we passed a law that says that if it's a criminal act now to coerce a woman or a girl to have an abortion. The governor vetoed that. We overrode that veto. We passed an abortion reporting bill. When I say we, I didn't cast a vote. I was in the legislature at one time, but we were pushing this forward and trying to make this happen with our legislative friends. So people like Coach Chuck Smith here from Pittsburgh and others. But basically, this abortion reporting bill, the way the law stands now, this goes into effect on July 1st, but we were getting one report a year from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and it was basically telling us how many abortions were being performed and what the method was being used, and also there was some information about where the girls or the women were from. The new reporting bill that we passed is going to basically require 2 reports a year, and also we're going to ask the abortionist, compel the abortionist to ask the woman, why are you having the abortion? Why are you having the abortion? And the reason we're asking that question is so that we can provide better programs and public policies and just respond to them, because we know, as I mentioned a second ago, that 7% of abortions are being done by women who really don't want to have that in the first place. So why are we having an abortion? So that was passed. We overrode the veto, but hold your applause. Immediately the abortion industry said, we're going to challenge that. That's going to be tied up in court. So we haven't had a court date set. I don't think, Mackenzie, my friend from KFL is here, yeah. So they're going to challenge that in court. So the abortion industry is fighting every single step we take. None of these laws, by the way, are restricting abortion in any way. None of them. But the abortion industry knows that if we save a life, that's less money in their pockets. The fourth thing that we had passed this year, which is really an extension of the year before, is we had funding for the Kansas Pregnancy Care Network. So $2 million last year and $2 million this year, where we have a main vendor that we're giving the money, it's state money, it's your tax dollars, and then that vendor then is providing grants to groups like V. And I'm understanding V is almost like really close to getting the paperwork done, right? Okay. I don't want to take the cat out of the bag there, but these are pregnancy resource centers across the state that are getting badly needed money into their coffers. So we've gotten $2 million last year and $2 million this year. And those are really good victories for us. Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, I just have to warn you, caution you, it's coming your way. The abortion industry is going after you. Kansas is an abortion destination right now. We're getting women and girls from all over the country, from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. The abortion industry is coming after you. The abortion industry is coming after you. So I'm here if you have any questions, we'll get to the Q&A time, but that's sort of the nuts and bolts of it. We're devastated by the loss of value in both 2 years ago, but I must say that we're really working very well together with our partners in Kansas and at the state capitol to try and save women and babies, and we will not abandon the women and the babies to the abortion industry. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, Francis. I think I'd like to have all of the men and women here tonight who are pastors to please stand so we can recognize them all for their courage with a round of applause, because without our church leaders, we wouldn't be here. So also I'm going to have Bonnie come back out, and we're going to do some moderated Q&A. If you've got a question, please raise your hand, and then we'll give it to the right expert. So if the other people, Stephanie and Francis and Chuck, want to come out as well, that would be wonderful.
And they gotta stay separate.
Does Planned Parenthood have a location planned for the abortion clinic?
Yes. As far as we know. So the question is there a That one must be for the basketball games. And I'm not an announcer. The question was, is there a planned location? So they did announce it in their public release. They have great, we pretty much think we know. Somebody created a land holding company called the Southeast Kansas Land Holding Company that purchased an old medical practice on Tucker Place, which is near Lindbergh Pharmacy South, and there's been a vendor from Oklahoma City renovating that facility. We've heard word that the way that they acquired the property was just by saying, you know, the contractor or the land holding company said, we're just going to flip this facility to another medical use. So that's why I said what came to us in darkness and through lies will one day leave our community being exposed to love and truth. Chuck can correct me if I'm wrong, but Kansas doesn't currently have what's called a trap law, where you can do laser zoning to be able to prohibit those privileges from happening. I've experienced that in other practices of medicine. We kind of have like a drag and drop at the emergency room that you have to take people.
Yeah, so if I understood the question correctly, are Catholic hospitals going to be forcing abortion? Is that? Oh. Or do they have to be after care? I don't. Yeah, right. They don't have to have. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, really? Okay.
What they are saying is correct. The abortion providers are not required to have privileges at a hospital in Kansas. That's correct.
Yes. Is it a foregone conclusion that Planned Parenthood is arriving? There was a press release too. Yes, so, like there was no community discussion, is that?
How did it sneak up on us?
They acquired property, they renovated it, and they'll open the doors. That's how it really came in. And they did it kind of through a sleight of hand.
Yeah, so just the question is, can we do something about it? The paperwork has been filed. I don't know all the details about that, but it's a question for your government officials here locally. My guess is no at this point, but
Yeah, I talked to a gentleman who's kind of an expert in this, Ron Kelsey, Chuck asked me to talk to, and because they own the building, we can't stop it from opening. If they rented the building, leased the building, there would be some opportunity. But they came in under another name, bought the building, are renovating it, and they will be able to open it. That's why I said, let's have this community be the first one to close that clinic as fast as we can.
Chuck, the question is probably best answered by you. Can we pass a law in the state of Kansas that prohibits people coming across the state line for an abortion?
so the short answer is we're going to try. We don't think so, but we're going to try that. There's some interstate commerce laws in there. That was one of the bills that we actually had talked about, tourism, abortion. Is there anything else on that? No? Okay, yeah, my KFL friend there, McKinsey. So it would be great if we could, but it's really tough. It's interstate commerce and, yeah, abortion, I mean, the sad fact is, abortion in Kansas is now, for all intents and purposes, unrestricted. I mean, there are laws on the books right now, but there's that old joke, you know, $50 and a lawyer can sue anybody. All they need is $50 and a lawyer, and they're going to continue to take down our laws. So we're playing defense, basically, right now. We're doing the best we can. Yeah, so just trying to repeat the question. So you're asking, you know, if we as a community want to like stop supporting the community, I guess, in essence of what you're saying, and go elsewhere. I mean, I think these are questions for your city attorney and your city council people. It's going to be, the abortion industry has gotten a lot sharper over the years. And they know how to get under the wire, so to speak, legally speaking. So I can't give you an answer that definitive on that. Yes, ma'am. So she just said, voting, election time, so let me just tell you that part of our problem in Kansas is that it's the way we pick our state Supreme Court justices. I mentioned that I was in the state legislature for 3 years, and one of the first hearings that I was ever at, it talked about how we select our state Supreme Court justices. It's unique in the United States across the board. There's an opening on the Kansas State Supreme Court. The Kansas Bar Association has a 9-member, Kansas Bar Association has 5 of the 9 votes of who gets on the Kansas State Legislature. So if you hear the term judicial selection come up, you're for that. Because we want to change the way we select our Kansas judges here in the state of Kansas. But right now, really the Kansas Bar Association has a stranglehold on who is sitting on the Kansas State Supreme Court. And that's as simple as I can put it. Yeah. So how do we change that? So we need a constitutional amendment change. So you need the legislature to pass with 84 votes, 2/3 in the House and 2/3 in the Senate to put it on the ballot. That's the first measure, the first step. And then the people have to vote then 50% plus 1 to pass that. So the legislature has tried that at the height of, again, what I'll call the Brownback years, back in the mid 2015, 2016, the most votes that we were able to get was 77, we needed 84. So the Bar Association has a stranglehold, and there's a whole other like 45-minute presentation on how we got to that point. But we have one of the most liberal and one of the most overturned state Supreme Courts in the country, and I believe it's because of the way we select our judges. So. Well, that's a great prayer. Is that what you said?
Yes, we need to make this matter.
Matter of great prayer, yes.
Could you explain to me where it's defined in our state constitution? You said that allows abortion.
Yeah, so what the state Supreme Court said is that was in our preamble. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the exact phrase that they pointed to that said, we have an abortion right here in Kansas. I know, you're looking at me like I know, the first time I heard of it. What? Yeah, well, every state has that, but it's the way our judges are selected that makes this a topic of disconcerting.
I'm concerned that my daughter is at Telegraph, I'm not in Kansas City, and since they changed things where you can get the abortion pill, she gets call after call. These young women are ashamed, they're doing it alone, they're scared to death. How do we educate? We have a university of young women, we have high school of young women here. My biggest concern is they're doing this alone, and some of them are gonna die. How do we educate them?
I don't know the answer to how we educate them. They have to want to be educated. I will tell you that it's not being done or talked about in our schools really at all. 95% of the young women we see in our clinic don't really even know how pregnancy works, let alone how abortion works. This, in my opinion, this comes back to the biblical answer of teach your children. Teach your children, and teach your children to teach their children. And that is the way that you change a generation, is by teaching the children and teaching your children and teaching them well. Don't let the church teach them. The church is good,
It's not the church's job to teach your children. You teach your children.
And Chuck mentioned the abortion pill reversal. Make sure your children know about the abortion pill reversal. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is to have somebody sitting in my office saying, I knew as soon as I took that first pill that I had made a mistake. I regretted it, but I'd already taken it, so I had to take the second. They didn't know about the abortion pill reversal. I want everyone to know about the abortion pill reversal so that when they do have regrets, they can make that contact.
That is so important. One more thing on this stuff. That website that I gave you with the 11 videos, they have produced a great video on the chemical abortion pill. I highly recommend that you download those and show them.
So the question is, what are the key things that do work and do not work in a community like Wichita in order to promote life? Look on your card. And what I was thinking as Chuck was speaking, we had all these questions about the laws of the state of Kansas. The laws of the state of Kansas are a long way away from us in Topeka. They are there. We're here. And those things are going to be happening in our backyard. And we can't wait for the laws to change. We've got to start now. We have to start acting now. And so that's why that postcard is designed to let you to look and think and pray about what gifts God gave to each of you. And it can't just be about voting. I mean, that's very important. We do that maybe once or twice a year. And then we can communicate with our legislators. But we do that in the comfort of our homes. And when women and men find themselves in an unexpected pregnancy, they're going to go to that clinic, and we need to be able to provide them the resources, but we can't provide them resources just with money. We've got to do it with our time, we have to do it with the gifts that God gave to us, and be there with them along the way. So what works? Everything's on that card, isn't it, Bonnie? Everything's on the card. And we need to be able to build a strategy that's all of the above. And we can't do that by ourselves, we've got to do it together.
Be a presence to them.
Yes, that's your question. I can hear you.
Okay, I'm concerned, has it occurred to anyone there's going to be a crematorium in a residential area? How do you explain to a 5-year-old why there's smoke coming out of this room? Right next to a doctor's office, one parking lot away from a family home.
So you're asking the question about the disposal, and you think that it's because...
How they dispose, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not aware, I will check into it for you. I'm not aware that they will have a crematorium there. It's very disrespectful, but it is disposed of as medical waste. Not on site. They send it out. So.
So you read my mind. Maybe we must be praying to the same God. By Tuesday afternoon, that's the reason that I kind of tried to step out in front of this, because I thought, I'm the kind of guy that likes to throw the long pass in a football game and run underneath it and catch it. As Catholics, we call that the Hail Mary. I don't know. So what will a coalition look like and what will it be? I have no idea. But everybody who is here tonight, if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, as long as you believe that life begins at conception and that it's worth defending, we all come together. And if we don't come together, if we all start doing our own thing, the second prayer I said after I thought about this coalition was, well, thanks be to God we have the Bee Clinic already. Because that's one thing that's been established in our community now for 20 years. And now we help and support them more, but we have to do things that are bigger than that. And we can't do it as one church, we can't do it as one person. We all have to come together as believers and do it together. So that's why I'm asking all of the church leaders that are here tonight, when you fill out your cards or when you go online, make sure that we know that you are a pastor so that we can all come together and so that we can figure out how to share each other's congregations, talents, and gifts for one purpose, to make sure that we close that clinic as soon as possible. Yes.
I simply would like to state that I am grateful for the use of the word solidarity. It made me mindful of the power that Christ said the church, his church, will have.
Yes, so very grateful for the word solidarity.
We're relatively new to Pittsburgh, and our experience is that Planned Parenthood is not just a building where they murder babies, but they will infiltrate the community, colleges, businesses. What works in a community to mitigate and or remove Planned Parenthood from a community?
What's the best community advocacy for getting rid of the Planned Parenthood clinic?
It's really just tell the truth. Use stories. Share the truth of what abortion is, and share the truth of what Planned Parenthood does. Because there's such a misunderstanding for some people on what Planned Parenthood does. So it is just sharing the truth. It's putting truthful information in language they can understand in front of them. We have many, many good groups of all faiths that go to college campuses and try to teach and talk to our youth about this. So if you find it in your heart to support them, they're also doing the hard frontline work.
I have two questions. One, where do you tell them if they have one reversal pill, they just call the doctor, the hospital, where do they get that? And the other question is, Chuck, where do we find more resources? If we want to donate money from our tax, the things you told us, where do we find information about that?
I can probably answer both questions. The reversal has to go through your doctor. No?
Incorrect. It does go through a doctor. So the abortion pill reversal is actually a national hotline. There's a number, and we are going to be getting those cards and resources in the hands of churches and sidewalk advocates very soon. But there's a number that they call. Our clinic is in the process of becoming a site where we can help with those reversals. We're not there yet, but we're in the process. So actually, the client will call the national hotline, and the reason for that is they need to find where they're from. There's going to be a lot of people coming to Pittsburgh for abortions who don't live in Pittsburgh, and this is an ongoing care. It takes months to reverse. So they will find a clinic that is close to them. That's why they call the hotline, and we do have to partner with them to be able to do it. So not any doctor can do it. There's a process that they train on, and then they get licensed in.
And then the 70%, Francis, you probably know as well how, but it will affect the Bee Clinic. So if you're in the city of Pittsburgh If you want to save 70% on your tax bill, the V Clinic can help you. Well, I'm going to help you to figure that out.
Let me just add real quick. So this just got passed 6 weeks ago, 7, something like that. So it's government, folks. It moves a little slow. So the Kansas Department of Revenue is going to certify, I call it the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval, but people of a certain age know what that is. But anyway, the pregnancy resource centers and maternity homes that are eligible for the tax credit. So groups like V and others will make an application to the state. The form is not yet on the Kansas Department of Revenue site, but we're pushing them to get it on there as quickly as possible. Once that's in place, then the donations you make, anything after January 1st of this year is going to be eligible for your tax credit on that. So,
I think Bruce had a question there in the middle.
Right here. Yeah, is there any plans or successful, like, home for unwed mothers? Because like the one lady said that a lot of these teenagers are in shame and they're embarrassed. Many of them probably get kicked out of their homes. Is there a place for them to go, or can we build one in Pittsburgh?
I'm not sure. Okay. There actually is a lot of support in Pittsburgh, and we can get those people in contact with who they need to get in contact with. Pittsburgh does not have a maternity home, but I will tell you from experience, I know there are people in the community who are willing to help those people, to take them in, to help pay for housing. Pittsburgh actually does a really good job of helping people get where they need to be and providing for them if they're willing to do the actions to receive the support. And we have most of that information at the clinic.
Okay, I just have a question. Does Planned Parenthood try to pair with any other clinics or things like that within our community? How do we prevent that?
Sorry, I don't know the answer to that 100%. I know that they don't have to have privileges or connect with anybody. They have their own doctors that they bring in. And since they're not really here yet, they've just announced that they haven't even hired people yet, to my knowledge. They're in the process of hiring. I don't know that they would have done that yet. I don't know of any that I've heard of, but it would just be rumor if we had.
Is it true that the abortion clinic is going to offer gender-affirming care?
So will there be gender affirming care offered? From what I know from their press release, yes.
To what extent?
We don't know anything other than what's in the press release. I mean, somebody could go out to the national website for Planned Parenthood and try to deduce what kind of care they would offer, but the press release wasn't very long.
Chuck mentioned the conversion law. How does that apply to people coming from out of state?
So the question is, how does the abortion coercion law apply to people coming from out of state? Well, if that coercer, the person is with them in Kansas and they're identified, then they would be liable under that law. But whether if they're out of state, it's out of our jurisdiction. I just wanted to mention about the gender affirming, the abortion industry and the gender mutilation industry are joined at the hip. They are, if you go to Trust Women websites, all of them, they're now offering as a profit center quote unquote gender affirming care. That's a nasty thing, but that's happening now. The abortion industry is definitely offering those services, if you will.
Okay, one more question, Kevin.
So I live about a block away from this thing. I've walked by a few times, and I've noticed there's not a lot of sidewalks on both sides of the street, which might be by design. But how does that affect the sidewalk campaigns, the prayers on the sidewalks? If there's no sidewalks there, is it allowed to be in the streets? You may know.
Do you know anything?
through Sidewalk Advocates for Life, we stress the importance of recognizing the difference between private property and public property. And so that's something that we'll need to determine, where does private property end and public property begin? Because as advocates, we can be present on public property. We can't block sidewalks, we can't block driveways, but we can stand there, we can pray, and a prayerful, peaceful presence at abortion facilities can be extremely effective. Abby Johnson talks about a 75% no-show rate when there's a prayerful, peaceful presence in front of, when she was director of Planned Parenthood. So we'll find out what that public property is.
Thank you. Let us all bow our heads in prayer. There was a man from a small town in Italy that 800 years ago decided to give everything that he had to the poor, and he began to change the world. Let's imagine ourselves in his, well, sometimes he didn't even wear shoes tonight. And imagine what we can give to help to defend life. We'll pray, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me so love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.